Hello! You're back with me on this wooden tub we call the Gaming Galleon. My name's Captain Raz, just an old weathered sea dog who's into adventure, out into the Silicon Seas, and I can't do it alone. So thank you. Thank you for coming with me. We have a lot going on today. I mean, not too much, but certainly interesting stuff, I would say. First of all, we're going to be talking about one of the worst fighting tournaments I've ever been in. And when I say fighting, I'm not talking about, cockfighting, chicken fighting, or dog fighting. I mean fighting games. That's basically what today's going to be about. It's fighting games. We're also going to be playing Eternal Champions for the Sega Genesis. One of the most underrated, but, well put together 2D fighters I've ever played. I really like it. We'll get into it. We've got an interesting lot here. Okay, got some booty to go through, and an interesting story. I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit. And then off here in the corner, we've got our mailbag. Okay, so we'll have a busy hour, starting a few minutes late. What a surprise on that, but that's okay. Let's talk about this fighting tournament I was in. I was in a fighting tournament about a week ago, and I was at Gen Con. Gen Con is here in Indianapolis, where the Galleon has its home port. And basically, Gen Con is known as the largest and oldest gaming convention here in the United States. Maybe the world. I think it may be the world, but don't quote me. I always feel like that's a murky line. It's on the it's on the website and stuff, but I don't. Is it really the oldest gaming tournament in the world? I just don't know, but it's certainly big. It's certainly a big deal. People come from all around, and they do more than just when you think gaming tournament. Or I think gaming tournament convention. I think video games, but this is all types. This is primarily role-playing games, live-action role-playing games, board games, anything you can think of. Collectible card games, anime, theater stuff, all that, and then video games. But I would say video games are really kind of the infant, the baby, the youngest old, the last born of this gaming family here at Gen Con, because this is an old it's an old convention, and role-playing games have been around a lot longer than video games. So video games are still kind of trying to find their way in Gen Con. But there are two companies there that they rent out space. They have these two big dark rooms filled with video games of all shapes and sizes, primarily computers. But there's also everything under the sun. One place had a TurboGrafx set up. They had a Sega Master System set up. There's arcade games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, The Simpsons, the arcade game, and if you pay for like an hour, I don't remember what the going rate was, maybe like $4 or something to stay for an hour. You had access to all these games, and it was pretty cool. Really, it was really neat that they had more than just the modern stuff. To sit down and play a TurboGrafx was really neat. So this tournament that I was a part of was called Obscure Fighter Madness. Okay? And when I heard about this, my ears really perked up, because I grew up, I was a teenager in the early 90s. And if you were a boy, I don't know, could be a girl, I guess. But mostly, I don't know, in my neighborhood, if you're a guy and it was the early 90s, you played fighting games, okay? Street Fighter 2 that's when Street Fighter 2 came out, and that's really when fighting games blew up. And all these other Me Too games showed up, like Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, and then all these other games like Eternal Champions, which we'll be looking at later. So I've always loved fighting games. My gut reaction when someone asks me what my favorite type of genre of game is a multiplayer action RPG. But I think lately, especially I've been hanging out with the Y&L crew a lot. I'm playing a lot of fighting games, and I really get a big kick out of them, offline or online, because it's very quick, it's really good action, and you're up against another human being. And there's no you can outsmart a human being, but you can't out pattern them unless they're really not catching on. It's not like a computer where you can find a weakness and exploit it over and over. Okay? Can't do that with a person necessarily. They will learn. And that's what's compelling about fighting games. If you're willing to put in the time, you can prevail. And it's not like in an action RPG where it's like if you hit a monster enough times, you can defeat anything. You're gonna get those points. No, that's not how it works in a fighting game. It's always even playing field to start, and it's your skill versus skill to see who the victor is. So I really like fighting games, and I've been playing them for a long time, and I really got into, when Street Fighter 2 was out and it was in the arcade, I still followed all the other obscure fighters that started coming out, trickling out to consoles. So, I think I definitely have, some knowledge when it comes to the games that are out there. Now, there's a lot of fighting games out there. It's been, 25 years. But I think I have a pretty good basis for how most of them are played. So when I heard about this tournament, I was interested. It's called Obscure Fighter Madness. And basically, you go in blind. You have no idea what kind of game they're going to put you in front of, and what kind of system. And it was really exciting because you just never knew. You didn't know what to prepare for. So we showed up. I showed up there. It was kind of around 7 p.m. Friday night. They gave me a bracelet. The bracelet here says Friday Night Fighter. They just wrote it on there. It was $4 to get in. There were about 8-9 people there, 8-9 guys ready to play. It was an odd number, definitely. And that'll be important later, but it was about 9 guys, I think. And they sat the first 2 guys down. And again, there's all these old systems around, okay? And I know one of the guys is a collector, okay? I know he's a collector. I know he's got a bunch of older games, older systems. Some of them were out there ready for play. But the first game that he sat, these 2 people were, the first 2 contestants were sat down at was, they sat them down at a laptop, and they gave them both Xbox 360 controllers. And then they booted up on the computer via a projection screen Karate Champ for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Okay? They emulated it and gave these guys 2 360 controllers to play. Now this is a very old game and the controls suck. But it's also a very extremely cheap and common game. I'm talking, with shipping, you could get that game for pennies. Okay? And Nintendo's, for a collector, certainly are not hard to find. So it really, right off the bat, put a bitter taste in my mouth that we're playing Nintendo on a PC with Xbox 360 controllers. I mean, I know we only put $4 in here, but I mean, there's tube TVs everywhere. You've already got a bunch of really nice old school systems hooked up. Would it have been so hard to premeditate this tournament enough to say, okay, if we're going to do Karate Champ, let's do it right? But they didn't do that. Okay? So anyway, we sat down. They sat down and they played, and I'm watching the 2 guys. These guys are in their 20s. They're used to using an analog stick, so it wasn't a problem for them. But I'm watching their joysticks, their controllers, and I'm like, turning my nose up, like I'm the, God's gift to fighting games, and I'm looking at them, and they're using the analog sticks instead of the D-pad. And if there's any tip I can ever give you if you're getting into fighting games, especially 2-dimensional fighting games, get away from that analog stick. That's not what it's built for. Okay, this is a genre that was built before the analog stick. I cannot stress that enough. If you want control in a fighting game, learn to play with the directional pad. I guarantee you that in the long run, it's going to give you an edge over anyone who uses an analog stick. There are some exceptions, mainly 3D game exceptions. Soul Calibur's probably good with an analog stick, but I'm telling you, any 2D fighting game, Learn to play with the directional pad. So I'm watching these two guys play, and I'm like, what are they doing? You know? They're using the analog sticks. So they go through, the match ends, one guy wins, other guy doesn't. The announcer is like trying to riff away, and look, I get how hard it is to try and be funny when you're watching video games live. I mean, here we are. I get it, but he's not doing very well. And again, I don't know what it is, but when I get in this scenario, I think I'm some sort of absolute expert in everything, and I'm just like, just such a egotistical jerk under my breath. In fact, I think at the beginning of the tournament, the announcer's like, so just so you guys know, we're not going to be playing Shaq Fu today. Now Shaq, and he got some laughs from the audience. Now Shaq Fu is, to give you an idea of how saturated the fighting game market was in the early 90s, Shaq Fu was for the 16-bit systems, SNES and Genesis, and it was a two-dimensional fighter that starred NBA athlete, star, whatever you want to call him, Shaquille O'Neal, in his very own fighting game. Okay? And it's a terrible game. And as soon as this guy said, we're not going to be playing Shaq Fu, and everybody laughs, there's one guy next to me with like the most serious look on his face, and he says, oh, I got that one. I got Shaq Fu. And I'm to his left, and by the way, it's a con, so I am holding the Jolly Roger. And I look at him, I'm like, again, I'm such a jerk in these scenarios. I don't know what gets over me. I say, oh, that's nothing to brag about. He's like, what? It's like Shaq Fu having it. It's nothing to brag about. He's like, oh, I'm like, it's a terrible game. And it's like, oh, well, that's not the point. You see, I have like over 220 games. I'm like, okay. It's like, yeah, well, that's not, it doesn't, doesn't matter what kind of game it is. It just matters, the collecting's what's important. I'm like, really? So you're just going around collecting every sports game you can get a hold of? Like, what? I don't understand that kind of collecting. Like, we try to cultivate here a little bit. I know we've said we want everything, but I mean, even we have our standards here on the Galleon. If we got every single sports game we came across onto the ship, it would sink. Okay? You got to pick and choose at some point. How about the 75 different games you can get on the SNES? Do we really need those? Do we really need a complete collection in the SNES? So we can have 75, 76 sports games sitting on our shelf? No. Apparently, this is the kind of guy who feels you should, and I feel like this is the kind of guy that drives up retro video game prices. Because he'll pay any price. Okay? And when you start paying any price, the prices will go up. I guarantee it. Okay? So anyway, I'm being a jerk to this guy for no reason. I should keep my opinions to myself, but whatever. The first Karate Champ ends, one guy wins. And then they pull out the next game, and they do it on the PlayStation 3. It's a Saturn game that they downloaded. And again, there's a Sega Saturn running around here. Okay? Maybe they didn't have the disc. I don't know. Whatever. The fact that we played Karate Champ, such a common game, on an emulator really bothered me. But let's move on. PlayStation 3, they boot up Sonic the Fighters. Okay? And this is a Sega Saturn game, so you're talking original PlayStation era, so 32-bit polygons. It's basically Virtua Fighter with Sonic, except that it's not good in any way. Okay, Virtua Fighter is a fine game. This game is not. And the first two teams go, first two opponents go, and they fight it out. And one of the guys ends up picking a character who has a gun. He's like a cowboy guy. So he's literally shooting his opponent the whole time. It was a really unfair match, especially sitting down blind. So then they call my name, they call Captain Raz's name, and another guy, and we sat down, and I say to this guy, I won't pick the guy with the gun if you won't. He's like, okay. So it's best of 3 rounds. I pick a slow guy, and he picks I think he picked Knuckles, so someone kind of fast. And he trounced me. And I'm like, ugh. And I have one more chance. So I pick Sonic. It's like speed versus speed. So we're playing Sonic, this really awful Sonic the Fighters promotion on the projector. Sonic versus Knuckles, and somehow I managed to beat him. So it's 1-on-1, and then we go again, and I squeak by, and I beat him in Sonic the Fighters. Okay? So I'm into the next round, I suppose you would call it. It really didn't seem very round-based to me, but whatever. We get to the next game. The next game is back on the Nintendo emulator, and I can kind of understand why this one would be emulated because it's a fairly rare game. I can understand them not wanting to pull out a real copy of this, even if they had one. They're hard to find. They're valuable. Maybe he didn't have it, but whatever. He picks Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters for the original Nintendo Entertainment System. And again, this is a hard to find game. We do not have it here on the hold. It is definitely a gem out there, sitting in an old treasure box somewhere. But anyway, he sets us down, gives us the Xbox 360 controllers, and I'm like, that's fine, whatever. This game's got 2 buttons. It's a 2D fighter. I can handle this. I haven't played it much, but I mean, I've played enough 2D fighters. Okay, so I take the 360 controller, and the round starts, and I try to use the directional pad, which we were talking about earlier, and this thing doesn't use it. They have failed to give you a directional pad for an NES game. Okay? I felt like walking out. I was so insulted to think that this is how we covet these games of old. That we can't even, if we're going to emulate them, at least give them the proper controller. Okay? I'll take the 360 controller, but at least give me the D-pad. I get trounced, and I could not have been more bitter about it. I'm going on. I'm not raving, but I'm certainly saying, oh, no D-pad, huh? No directional pad, huh? No directional pad. Whatever. I lost. In the end, I lost. And I wasn't nice about it. What are you going to do? I don't know what to say. I mean, I didn't... Again, I wasn't raving. There was no, argument about it or anything, but I wasn't happy. Then I think it was down to about 4 guys. They played Battle Arena Toshinden for the Saturn. They actually played it on the Saturn, so that was good. This is a really terrible 3D fighting game. Came out, I believe it was a launch game for PlayStation. Whatever. And then finally, they did PlayStation 2 Inuyasha, which is basically an anime 3D, a 3D fighter based off an anime from around the turn of the century. And that's fine, but here's the problem. As I said, it came down to... It was in uneven numbers for this tournament, okay? And I don't know how they were scoring, how the ladder worked, but the final match, I swear to God, the final match was the leader, the guy who defeated everyone else, versus one of the employees. Okay? This guy had been around, setting up games, riffing about the games, doing the normal lukewarm, jokes. And now he's sitting down with the current reigning champion for the final? That's our climax? Is this guy's fighting a fill-in? What? How did this happen? Why aren't two contestants playing for the final? I could not understand. And so this guy beats the employee who's literally saying things like, I just work here, I don't really care. Literally saying these kind of things. The guy who was actually trying beats the employee, and I think me and a couple other guys who, got knocked out but still wanted to see how things shook out, stayed. And we're watching, he beats him, and then there's just silence. And the employee almost gets up and walks away like nothing happened. And there's another guy with a tablet who's tallying up everything, and he's looking at the tablet as the victory's happening. The contestant gets up, the winner, the champion, gets up, looks around and says, "So is that it?" And the guy on the tablet's like, "Yep." That's our climax? It was like the guy with the tablet didn't even say, "And here's our winner." We can't even announce that the guy won the tournament. I mean, talk about going through the motions. Yes, it's a $4 tournament. I get it, okay? I'm lucky to have it at all. These were the only guys throwing tournaments. Retro gaming tournaments, okay? But with all the equipment they had and all the knowledge that they had, I really felt like we were getting the short end of the stick. It was a drag. It was a real drag. I didn't walk out of there happy at all. I'm glad I competed, but I just wish we could find a little more seriousness in the competition. You know, here I am throwing stones. I'm not, you know, maybe I should, hold the tournament here on the Galleon if I think it's so easy to do. But, you know, I'm just being honest about it. I wasn't very happy about it. So there you go. Definitely one of the worst fighting tournaments I've ever been in. Let's move on and let's play a fighting game, okay? This game came out in lieu of the popularity of Street Fighter II, Mortal Kombat. This is called Eternal Champions, and what's interesting about this game is this one's actually was made for a home console. And it was made quite well. I believe it was made, I don't know if it was made by Sega, but it was released by Sega. And it was for the Sega Genesis. They made one more for the Sega CD, which is probably the best one, but I haven't gotten to play that one. Played this one a little bit. And the computer's pretty rough. I think we'll do okay. I've warmed up a little bit, but let's just get into it. I won't bore you anymore. Okay? This is Eternal Champions for the Sega Genesis, and we're already way over. Wow, are we way over? It's been a while. I wanted to talk to you. Okay? Alright, here we go. Eternal Champions for the Sega Genesis. Little audio for you. And we're starting right here at the menu, and the reason for that is, usually we'd go into the contest. Usually we go into the one-player mode. The reason we're not is because this game does something really annoying, which is if you lose the match, it automatically starts you again as the character you picked originally. And I don't want to stick with just one character, okay? Because this game has such a rich, interesting roster. So let's just we'll start against Larson. Now this game is about time travel, okay? The basic premise here is the 9 characters that you can play as are from different periods in time, and each of them met a tragic end. And had they lived, they would have helped humanity immensely. Okay? That's about all I can really tell you without boring you to death, if I haven't already. But I will get into everybody as we play. Now let's start with Xavier, because he's actually the guy that always jumped out at me the most. We're going to be playing against Larson. Now Larson is a cat burglar from 1940 Chicago, who gets blown up when he's trying to smuggle in something for his boss. He gets my alarm's going off for a tournament from last. Shut up! There we go. For last week. I need to turn those alarms off. Sorry. Okay, so here we are. We're going to play as Xavier. And Xavier is actually from Salem, Massachusetts. And we'll take a look at his arena later. Oh. Now, I believe I have the skill level equal. And the computer is not is now no cakewalk in this game. It really isn't. Oh. I've been defeated many times in this game. I can go all the way through Street Fighter 2. Wow, I'm rocking this guy. I may have to up his difficulty. Oh, nice. I say that, now he's gonna rock me, I swear. But here, I've never beaten this game. I can complete Street Fighter 2 easily. This one has really taken me some time to learn. And I'm only now really getting down to nuances. Now, you'll notice that I'm a big blocker. Okay? For someone who's learning a fighting game, I cannot recommend learning how to block enough. Because 95% of the people you're going to play against turn them into gold. More on that later. 95% of the people you're going to play against are going to get in there and button mash. The secret to learning a fighting game, especially if you're playing against a friend, the two of you are the same skill level, wait for an opening. Don't give the guy an opening. Wait for an opening. Okay? You know, you'll notice that I'm using a lot of distance attacks here. Okay? I'm trying to keep him at bay. I'm also not going in the air very much. I'm not jumping at him. That is an invitation for destruction. Okay? So try and find some attack that you have that has some distance, doesn't keep you too open, and really try and exploit it. And also learn your buttons, your main buttons. Now we're going to take a look at the Sega Genesis controller later. But it's got 6 buttons, okay? A lot of people, they'll get into a fighting game and they'll start trying to do special moves. Don't do that! Don't do that. You're going to kill yourself trying to learn special moves, okay? You will die over and over. Let's try another time period here. I want to play against Slash. Slash is a caveman from like 50 BC. I think he was like a really smart guy. And the elders, he spoke out against the elders. Tried to get agriculture going, and they were like, no, we're hunters and gatherers, we're into the violence. So the elders stoned him to death. Okay, and obviously, had agriculture caught on, his clansmen would have evolved faster. The goal here, there's nine opponents, and they've all been taken moments before their tragic death to fight in this tournament, and whoever wins gets sent back to just a few seconds before their untimely demise to change history, because they all died at very pivotal parts of human development. In the case of Xavier, the guy I'm playing, he became an alchemist and figured out a way to create an unlimited source of energy, which would have, brought Salem, Massachusetts into, the golden age. But it being Salem, Massachusetts in the 18th century, Slash, you're being a jerk. They just, they labeled him a warlock and burned him at the stake. So, so bad luck for Xavier. Most of these people are a victim of, most of these fighters are a victim of, the lowest common denominator? I don't know. I don't know what to say on that. But I really love how thought out the storylines are for these guys. You don't get that a lot. I mean, Ryu, what's Ryu? He's an Eternal Warrior. Blanca, he's a lizard man from Brazil. This really lists like time periods, causes and effects of what these people would have been. I feel like I should up the difficulty on these guys. Oh, see that? Now you may see the yin-yangs up there in the upper left and right hand corners. Now most people are used to just spamming off fireball after fireball after fireball. You cannot do that in this game. And that yin-yang tells you how much special move power you have. So learning your basic moves is more important in this game. I mean, it's important in every game, in my opinion, but even more so here, because if you try to just do specials, you're gonna be in trouble. You're not gonna do anything. You're gonna be like, well, the controls suck, dude. It's not doing anything. Well, it's doing something. You just don't have the special power, the chi, if you will, to do it. I think it's chi in this. I don't know what they call it. You don't have enough yin yang. You also notice that I turned the timer off on this. It's staying at 99. A couple reasons for that. The main reason is I feel the timer's too short for this game. All right, we're gonna play one more, and then I think we'll come back to the booty segment. And after that, then I'll play another character. Let's go into practice, and we're gonna up this person up to 8's the highest. Let's see how I do against 8. I really don't know what to expect. I've really been beaten down by this game a lot, so we'll play a chick. Let's play Jeddah, because Jeddah's got a very interesting backstory too, and I like to get into that also. All right, Xavier versus Jeddah. Now Jeddah's a Russian. 1899 is where she's from, and she's from France. She's Russian, but she was trained in France as an acrobat. Whoa, I think she's used some sort of status move to speed up. You see that? Wow, she's got some sort of... She did. She's using some sort of psychic power to speed herself up. Wow, that's not good. Thank God I know how to throw. You see Xavier's whole game is, you know, stick and move. Maybe it's just my game, I don't know. It's really the only way I've learned how to survive in this. And I think I bit off more than I could chew here, taking highest difficulty, but we'll see. But she started touring with her circus into China during the time of the Boxer Rebellion, which, you know, I'm no historian, but the game tells you that the Boxer Rebellion was a time in history when China was trying to exile all foreigners from China. And for all I know, that may be why they're so isolated to this day. And only now, you know, stopping that a little bit. But she's killed by one of the resistance groups in China. They tamper with her safety net during one of her biggest performances for the Chinese emperor, and she falls to her doom. So it's like, I mean, what? You know, they've really premeditated the storylines here, because time plays such a role. And obviously, if she had lived and created some sort of unrest, then you know, the Chinese government and development would have been much different in the 20th century than what it became. Which, you know, I'm no political historian, but it's always been, you know, rather isolationist. So, you know, for a console-only game, this game had put so much time. Oh my God, I think she's got me. Oh. We got one more round here, right? They really tried to do their homework. I really feel like they were trying to make a long-lasting game here. Franchise that I think maybe it was just too saturated. Another problem here, and we'll get into the controller later, I think that was probably this game's biggest problem. And why this game has aged so much better than how it was looked at during its initial release. Yeah, go ahead, keep throwing, Reyes. Kind of feel like she's got my number. Learn to throw, too. Tell you what, man, basic moves. Whoa! Oh, she's got me. Oh, stop using that. Oh, that's it. That's it. Alright. We're done. We're done, yeah. You got me, Jeddah, you got me. Alright. Right. So, Eternal Champions, what can I say so far? It's a very good technically robust fighter. Let's take a look at the controller real quick. This is what I'm getting into. When I talk about why this game wasn't successful back in the day, the Genesis controller. Let me see if I have an original one floating around here. One sec. Is there one here? If there is, I can't pull it out at the moment. But the original Genesis, here we go. Here we go. No, that's a 6 button. Of course it is. Okay. We have more of the uncommon controllers here than the common ones. But the original Genesis controller was quite similar to this, but it was missing 3 buttons. Okay, see how there's 3 buttons there, A, B, and C. That's how a Genesis controller originally was when it came out. And then fighting games started happening, like Street Fighter, which had 6 attack buttons in the arcade. So now Genesis has to keep up with Super Nintendo because Super Nintendo already has 6 buttons on its controller. So they had to come up with this guy. Okay? 6 buttons. They also vastly improved the D-pad. And today, I would recommend a fighting game and the Sega Genesis game over the Super Nintendo. Shockingly enough, because I grew up with the SNES and I loved playing Super Nintendo Street Fighter on it. But to play Street Fighter on one of these, there's no contest. There's no contest. This D-pad is extremely responsive, and most importantly, all of your buttons are on the face here. On an SNES controller, you got 6 buttons, but you're also using 2 up here. Okay, it sucks, frankly. It was fine back in '94 when we were in high school and that's all we could play. But now, honestly, if you're going to play Street Fighter at home, this is the controller to play it on. Or maybe a Saturn controller, okay? Which is very similar. This one's good, really good. And Eternal Champions came out at a time when everyone did only have those 3-button controllers sitting in their house. So it's like, okay, so you expect me to buy a new game for the new price and buy 2 new controllers just to play this one? Not going to happen, okay? That's just not going to happen. I don't have the money for that. But today, this game is excellent if you could sit down with a friend, same skill level, and get through it. I like the graphics. It's a solid game. I wouldn't say it's broken in any way. Very good technical fighter. Okay, here we go. Booty segment. I probably shouldn't be shaking this one because it's a little delicate. First of all, I want to talk to you about me getting into the current generation. I don't have a PlayStation 4 here on the Galleon. There is no Xbox One on the Galleon. We're not there yet. So this is the closest thing we have to current generation. Okay, that's a 3DS. Okay, 3DS XL. And it's a very nice piece of handheld hardware. Okay? And I've been waiting for a while to grab one of these. These have been out for about 5 years. I believe this particular model has been out for maybe about 2 years. So it's getting to the point where people are ready to sell them used, and for a pretty decent price. I saw this guy for $100. Yikes. Really, $100? Why not just play Game Boy? Well, here's part of the reason. In my travels, I found about 10 3DS games at this point. So I already had a library to play, I just didn't have the system. The merchant said, you know, I'll do $75 for you. Pretty good deal. But really what sealed the deal here was these 3DSs are really weird in that they come with games sometimes. They come with downloadable games. Now, as you can see, Mario's on this. Now, that means that this is kind of a special edition. That means there's something in addition to it. So, looking at the operating system here, I could see that it had Super Mario Brothers 2 on it. Okay? There's no cartridge. There's no Mario cartridge on here. Okay? So, you're already getting a really good game. I've already got the library games, the physical copy games, and it's a good little system. It looked good. You know, worked fine. And she says, I'll tell you what. I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good deal. And she's like, I'll tell you what. Why don't you pick one of the games I have? You know, I'll throw a game in. And she had 2 games. One was like some weird, forgettable Cartoon Network licensed game. I didn't even know what it was. Looked it up later. Not that interesting. And then it also, but then she also had this. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time 3D, the physical copy. Okay? It's a little guy, but let me tell you, it packs a big punch. Okay? And why this is a good deal is because this game came out about the first year the 3DS came out, and then I believe they stopped making them. And this is, you know, arguably the best Zelda game out there. I really, really, really like it. It was originally on the N64. They remade it for this, redid the graphics, did it kind of for a launch thing to get this guy going, and then they stopped making them and moved on to other software. So as a result, this physical copy of Zelda is in extreme demand. Even just for the cartridge, you're looking at around $40 to $45 just to get the cart. So you put all this together, you've got a high-end Mario game, you've got a high-end Zelda game, and you've got a high-end current piece of hardware for $75. I went for it. And I haven't regretted it, okay? It's been a great system. I've played it quite a bit. The online is really good on this. It's the only current, you know, one of the few current gen systems that you don't have to pay to play online. At least we got that going for us. At least they haven't taken it all away yet, okay? So I've been using that thing for about a month, really enjoying it, and I walked into a place a few days ago, and I saw this in a cabinet, locked cabinet. This is what I saw. Hold on, I'm sorry. Are you ready? I saw this. Wait, let me do it better. There. Yeah, I saw this. Okay? I saw a 3DS Gold Zelda Special Edition 3DS XL sitting on top of its box. How about that? Let's get a look at that box. It's beautiful. I've discussed how I'm not a boxed guy, but I really want this model. And part of the reason I want this model is it's got a Zelda game downloaded on it. Like the other one we were looking at, that was Mario. That's alright, but I'm not really that into Mario. I prefer Zelda in many ways. I'm an action RPG guy. Zelda's great. This one not only has a Zelda on it, but it's got a Zelda designed for the 3DS. Okay? And it's supposed to be really, really good. And I've been playing it, and I cannot dispute that in any way. We won't get into the mechanics of it, but man, it's really good. Like, for me, it's kind of fighting Ocarina of Time at this point. Very good game. So here we had the whole shebang. And they had $100 on it, okay? So here we are again with $100. It's behind a cabinet. I want to get a look at it. The main reason you want to look at these things, the main reason it's always weird and it's always different and you don't know what you're getting until you open it up is because you can download games onto these things, okay? You download games and you don't know what could be on there, okay? There could be a dozen games on this thing, and you're not going to know until you power it on and check, okay? And so that's what happened here. I asked them to see it for $100, even though I just bought one a month ago. I don't like to spend that much on hardware, on anything really. I wanted to look at it anyway. So I look at it, and I turn on the operating system, and I see in addition to the Zelda game, there are a number of other NES games that have been downloaded onto the system. Okay? There's 7 NES games on here in addition to the Zelda game. So this is actually a DS with a library of its own. It's got 8 games on here. And they're good games. Okay? Now again, keep in mind these are downloadable games, so they do not exist. They only exist on the system. Okay? But to give you a better idea of what games were on here, I brought the physical copies that we have. I pulled them out of the hold so you can take a look. Now, as you can see here, the only game that I cannot show you physically, because we actually don't have it in the hold, is Zelda 2, The Legend of Link. Okay? But the other ones that I'm about to show you are also on this. Okay, so let's take a look. We have the original Legend of Zelda. When's the last time you saw one of those guys? Okay. So there's that. Download it on here. We have Blaster Master. Blaster Master's really good. Okay, Blaster Master's a very good open world game where you play a tank. Played this one quite a bit. The problem with it was there was no password system, so you'd have to keep your NES system on for days at a time, and I believe it may have even been limited continues. This was a very challenging game, and not to be beat, and you couldn't beat it. And another excellent addition to playing an NES game on this guy is you can save the game at any moment at the touch of a button. So Blaster Master on a 3DS is like, it's exactly what this game needed, was the ability to save. Okay? So playing it here is going to be a real treat. Alright? The same goes for this game. River City Ransom. Okay? This is basically Final Fight or Double Dragon, and the reason this game blew the crap out of Double Dragon on the NES was it was an action RPG. So you could find shops and level up and get items and learn moves and increase your stats. But and you could play with a friend. You see there's two guys there? This is 2-player. Okay? The problem was this guy had like a password system where you'd have to type in like 36 different characters just to continue your game. And that was only for 1 player. If you were playing 2-player, you guys would be sitting there for 5 minutes trying to type these characters in that you had written down on a piece of paper. And Lord, I mean, God help you if you got one of the characters wrong. Your character's gone forever. Okay, again, here we go. A very hard to continue game on the NES, now savable at the touch of a button. And if I can add to that, believe it or not, this version allows you to download River City Ransom into a friend's 3DS without them even having the game, and the two of you can play together. I was like blown away when I figured this out. Like, what a feature. To just, a friend's got a DS, yeah, let's play River City Ransom together. Oh no, you don't need the game. We got it covered. And I'll save your progress, okay? So the next time we play, it's all right here. Incredible, okay? I was just, I mean, what a full-featured system this thing has become for virtual play. Absolutely love it. Okay, 3 more games here. We've got Galaga, which honestly I've been playing more than any of them because it's fast, approachable. This is the game that you see paired up with Miss Pac-Man in like every truck stop and airport. It sucks. Those, by the way, those suck. Those modern arcade versions of Galaga and Miss Pac-Man suck. And here's the reason why. You can continue by putting in a quarter. So here's a game based around high scores. This is basically Space Invaders, if you don't know what I'm talking about. But here's a game based around skill and high scores. But hey, the rich kid who brings the most money, they get the high score. They've really, in the arcade, I hate that they've done that with this game. But again, here we are on the NES. This game's all built around getting a high score. Well, on the NES, it wouldn't save your score, but it saves it here. So now it's great to play Galaga over and over and over and work on your high score. I just, whoever picked these games, this is a guy who grew up in my time. Okay, it's one thing if you have, Zelda. You've downloaded that. Everyone of all ages knows what Zelda is. No one knows what River City Ransom is. This was a real classic. Okay, moving on. Ghosts and Goblins. Ghosts and Goblins also on this thing. Very good 2D platformer. I think even kids of today at least have an idea of how popular that one was. And that's a Capcom game. And then finally, Super Mario Brothers 3, also with that download 2-player mode. So you can play this with a friend. So that's what we're looking at. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Okay, that we're looking at the box, we're looking at the 3DS, and then we're looking at about 7 NES games and a 3DS game downloaded on. So 8 games, special edition with the box, $100. Okay, that's what we're looking at. And I'm still like, ugh, I just bought that other one. We don't need it. But I'm like, I want to look at it anyway. I give this to her. And just out of curiosity's sake, I decide to look at the box. Okay? And I grab the box, and I make what may some of you may be groaning about. Oh, there goes Zelda. Great. Sorry. I picked this box up, and I usually pride myself in having a poker face, but I didn't here. I picked it up, and I said, the merchant's right next to me, and I said, oh, wow, this thing is heavy. She's like, oh, yeah, it's the manual or something. And I said, no. This is really heavy. And I look at the sides, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Look at that. Do you see those edges there? Do you see what I'm getting at? Look at that. This is sealed. This is sealed. Hello, testing. This is sealed. We're looking at 2 3DSs here. Okay? We're looking at 2. And that's what I tell her. I'm like, you've got a second one in here. She's like, oh, really? And part of me, the darkest part of my soul is thinking, why did I say a word? She was holding this. The price tag's on it. This has a price tag too, but she didn't need a second price tag. All I needed to do was hold this while she rang this up, and I think you know the rest. But sadly, maybe not sadly, I don't know, some part of me realized that that would be wrong, and I made it clear that she's got 2 3DSs here. So now I'm at a crossroads, and this is what I say to you. I say, okay, well, which one do I get? Do I get the one with 8 games? Do I get the new one? I think most people would say the one with the games. And that's how I feel. Games are always better. I don't really care if a system is used as long as it works, and I'd much rather have a software library out of the box. So for me, it's this one. But what are we looking at here? $100 on this one, $100 on this one? So I just say, you know what? How about we just do $150 for both? And she's like, I gotta talk to the manager. The manager says, sure. So $150, $150 for both of these. That's a lot of change. And after Gen Con, I'm kind of running on fumes. So I did what, I don't know, maybe some of you would hate me for. But to recoup my investment, I posted this for $200, and it sold about 2 hours later. So this will be sailing off to some forgotten realm today. And this little doubloon will be staying here with us at the Galleon. Okay? There you have it. So that's it. Not much here. You know, what are we looking at? You know, 3DSs, 3 3DSs, whatever. But how can you go wrong? I mean, really, at the end of the day, when this goes out and we get our recoup money back, you know, we'll really kind of be breaking even after various costs to get it to who bought it. We'll be breaking even, but we'll be ahead one special edition 3DS XL with a host of excellent NES games. So there you go. That's it. We're way behind. Extremely behind. This may be the longest show we've done. But not too long. We're going to be playing Eternal. We'll play a couple more rounds of Eternal Champions. We'll do the mailbag segment. and then we'll move on. I'm gonna pick a different character here. I Xavier was really the reason I started playing this game. Why it always jumped out at me. But now since I've been kind of getting ready to play this for the Galleon, I've branched out a little bit, and I've been playing with Patty the Swallow. Been able to branch out a little bit, and I've noticed that there are some other characters that I really like. So let's move back to Eternal Champions. For the Sega Dreamcast? Yeah, for the Sega Dreamcast. Okay. There we go. Alright. So I'm going to be playing Rax now. Practice? Enter contest? Practice. Let's go up against Trident. Now, Trident is, he's an Atlantean. Okay? And I believe the Atlanteans and the Romans fought for supremacy via a gladiator match. And Trident was their gladiator. He lost. I'm playing the cyborg from, like, the future. You know, that's pretty self-explanatory stuff. I believe 2345. Now, look at what happened here. Trident has slowed me down by whatever move he's using. He has a host of these different force fields that he can use. I've got this I-beam thing. One thing for fans of these games who really play fighting games, one thing that's really interesting is I've just come across this today. If you hold down a couple buttons, in my case I've been holding down short kick and medium kick. If you hold them down together, oh, I'm dizzy. You'll actually do a move. No directional pad movement here for these. So my missile attack is like that. Let me see if he stops rushing me. I'll try and pull it off. I got him. I can't believe I'm taking this guy at 8 difficulty. I almost feel like I should have played in the contest, but again, I didn't want to get stuck with the same guy over and over. I felt like that was a real concern. You're the freak, man. You see Atlantis there in the background. Not my favorite level. We'll play one more match, even though we're way over, because we have to see Salem, Massachusetts. We just have to. There's no two ways about it. We'll fight against Xavier. I think Rax is from a time where MMA, mixed martial art, is now cyborg related. Now, he was like the best kickboxer in the business until Cyborg showed up, and so he had to alter himself, but he had to get a loan out with some shady dealers. So it's basically under their thumb to pay for all this stuff on him. And I believe they fixed the match so he gets killed. Oh yeah, they put a virus in his circuitry, so that when he's about to give the death blow on his opponent, all his systems crash. So here we are, Rax versus Xavier. This will be our last match, and we'll do the mailbag. Look at this arena. And one thing I haven't covered here, this guy, the computer's probably going to be doing all kinds of stuff with Xavier I don't know how to do. It'll be blowing my mind. I don't even know what I'm saying, what Xavier's saying there. Oh, come on. But there are environmental fatalities in this. I've never pulled one off, and from what I understand, they're really impossible to do against another opponent, computer or human, because there's because positioning is so important. And in the case of Salem here, you see that oh, he switched position with me. That's a weird move. That's a move I don't think I've ever seen in another fighting game. If you hit him just right with a certain attack, you can throw him into the fire there. Burn him at the stake is like a killing blow. I mean, I've never seen it done. Never even seen it done, so don't Don't expect us to get lucky here. Man, he's gonna beat me. Shoot. There we go. Maybe if I throw out a little distance attack here. Oh, he didn't like that. No! Oh, darn it. The irony of losing to the guy I was playing with earlier. Alright, here we go. Last match here, and then we'll go to the mailbag segment and wrap up for the voyage. Sadly. And I tell you, I may just keep playing Eternal Champion. Oh! I think he's taunting me. Oh my god. He turned me into gold. Yeah, turn that into gold. Oh my god. I don't know enough about Rax. And I really got to play offensive against Xavier because he's really got me beat when it comes to projectiles. You see that? My guided missile isn't nearly as effective as... Now that's not to say he can't beat Xavier. I just can't beat Xavier. I'm not that good. Oh, I got him! Okay. This is it. All the marbles here. Look at the... I mean, I love the depiction of Salem here. I don't know if I've ever expressed on the Galleon my my love affair with Salem, Massachusetts, the Salem witch trials, but I've always been really really fascinated by that. I've been to Salem, sailed the ship out there a couple Halloweens, and let me tell you, you ever want to make a memorable Halloween, head on out to Salem. Oh, come on. Look at that owl up on the... Oh, that owl's got creepy eyes. I think I might have him here. Oh. Stay near me. Throwing. Thank God for throwing. Alright, we did it. Not bad. Not too bad. Alright, well that's it. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Thanks, thanks, Eternal Champions. I'm sorry you got a bad shake when it comes to you know, fighting game history. No one cares about Eternal Champions anymore. Had 2 versions and that was it. I'd love to play the Sega CD one. We actually have an old Sega CD sitting here in the hold, but we don't have the game. I don't know that it's going to be that much more superior to this one. Still like to give it a shot. Alright, so here we are. Mailbag segment. Wrapping up. What do we have here? This is a blast shield for a motorcycle helmet. Okay. Steven Universe on DVD. Def Jam Vendetta for the PlayStation 2. Fight for New York is better. Bills. What is this, a writing tablet? I know there's a letter in here somewhere. Mega Man Amiibo. And here we go. We got a letter. Okay. So this comes from My Ankle Hurts 888-9989-9909. I've never understood why people put numbers in their names. Whatever. But thank you for the letter. Let's see what he has to say here. He or she. Dear Cap and Raz, do you live with your mom? No. No, I don't live with my mom. Okay. Honest. I swear. Mom! Don't say anything, alright? I don't live with my mom. Honest. Okay, so that's the end of the show. It was really exciting to play Eternal Champions, discuss fighting. I was a little worried about playing fighting games here, but I had a lot of fun, and I hope that maybe you look for Eternal Champions. It's a really cheap game, and get good with a friend. Don't play the computer. You're not going to want to play. It's really challenging. But thanks again for coming. We'll see you in about a week, and until then, farewell and adieu. Ye Spanish maidens, farewell and adieu, ye ladies of Spain, for we received orders for to sail back. I don't know, to Salem? Sure. For we received orders for to sail back to Salem, and we may never see ye fair ladies again. Oh, lovely. Lukewarm supermarket iced coffee. Only the best on this show. Keep your powder dry.